Willpower, Personal Magnetism, Memory Training, and Success by Sydney B. Flower. This is a two-part book reading series where, in this video, the author explores the role of self-discipline and its relation to success. A couple of the factors that he will discuss here: what makes a person magnetic and ways to activate such magnetism. And he'll also discuss the simple concept behind dynamic thought. Welcome, I am Daisy, your hostess. There were many good points that the author brought up in regards to the topics described in the title in the previous video, and of greatest was shedding light on the travesty of academia not teaching the value of developing willpower or designing academic courses with that intention to help develop willpower. And unfortunately, as the author mentioned, our young men and women graduate from college with their heads filled with vast amount of information which they spend the rest of their lives forgetting, but with no knowledge whatever of the very important truth that willpower is built just like a muscle is built. Fortunately, as the author mentioned, there are few that do succeed, with their after college career because they have developed a strong will, and it wasn't because it was taught in school, but it was a chance result that brought on by probably some indirect suggestion which took root in their mind, or unfortunately could have been hardships in their life that brought that about. And isn't it a shame that a person would have to go through some hardship and struggle to develop a strong will, to burn that fire that's going to want them to succeed? And it's a shame that that's not something that is part of a curricula, and understanding that, hey, we can have a reason, not a system of punishment, but a system that says, hey, my life is on me and what I want out of it. So I found it surprising that one of the first exercises to develop willpower recommended by the author was meditative breathing. And he covered that in his first few chapters found in the previous video, so make sure that you grab those if you are new to the channel, so welcome. And by the way, I am Daisy, your hostess. Now, many of you might think, how can meditative breathing, in particularly, be something that's going to help me develop willpower? Well, he introduced the samadhi breathing system, which, by the way, I'm so happy that I actually have that here on my channel, and he made reference of it, the same book, titled The Hindu Yogi Science of Breathing by Yogi Ramacharaka. And so check out my playlist. There's a lot of other good stuff in that book. But perhaps some of you who have tried focusing on your breath will agree, as I have, and I think that the author did also, that it does take an exertion of willpower to stay focused on the breath, to stay focused on that activity. But I don't know why. And just as, I don't know if it's happened to you, but just as I begin to settle in and I'm beginning to focus on that breath, and I've got like a little rhythm going, out of nowhere, it's like the zookeeper leaves and all the animals are loose. My thoughts begin to come in, like, hey, who let you in? Look at you, what are you doing over here? And it's just a distraction. And as the author said, not to overlook the fact that they may be simple exercises, yet the benefits of persevering can be transformative. Again, I'm bringing you another antiquarian book, yet for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, you will consider that I brought you a treasure trove. I now turn the page. Chapter 5. Further Steps in Will Training. After you have spent 1 month in practicing the breathing and memory exercises given above, you should not discontinue them, but practice them assiduously every day, adding to them, however, the following, which may be used at odd times during the day whenever the necessary leisure offers itself. The exercises may be taken in any order that is agreeable, and are not to be considered as a progressive table, to be adhered to without change. The important thing is not the order in which the exercises are taken, but the steady continuity of the practice. Make a practice of reading and writing in those places where you are most sure of constant interruptions. Instead of letting yourself be annoyed and disturbed by noises and interruptions breaking in upon your work, welcome them with pleasure, and train your attention to give you proper service by demanding of it that it pay no heed to disturbances without. but concentrate itself upon the task you have set before it. Treat your mental faculties as though they were responsible for any loss of ease you may suffer because they were not competent to handle the job you had given them. You will find this plan work wonders. The mind does indeed act under the lash of your reproach, much as a well-trained setter dog who had been at fault by running wild. That is to say, it will cringe and try to make amends for past misconduct by doing better at the next task you set it. Note this. You may make an egregious failure of it the first time you try to write or read in surroundings of excitement and disturbance, but you will not make as complete a failure of the second attempt of the same kind. The attention will come to heel and obey just as soon as it perceives that you are in earnest and mean what you say. Follow this exercise with any other of the same kind that suggests itself to you as convenient to your business, bearing in mind that the end sought is a determination of the will on your part not to permit yourself to be annoyed or disturbed by things that have hitherto always had the power to annoy you excessively. You are to prove to yourself your own developing control over your feelings, emotions, and passions. Irritability falls not far short of the passion of anger, and it will be a notable achievement for you in so short a space as 1 month to prove to yourself that your will is in command when challenged. There are numberless variations of this exercise that will occur to you. You will have no need to hunt far for material to prove your will upon. Opportunities to practice your newfound control will spring up on all sides of you. Try them all. They are all fish for your net. You cannot overdo this exercise. Remember, from henceforth, you go out of your way to welcome annoyance, disturbance, interruption, etc., etc. You welcome trouble. You ask for it. It is by facing trouble with mind undisturbed that you build will. Will does not grow while you are entertained at the theater, except on such occasions as it may happen that someone near you in that theater is making a nuisance of himself by talking and so interrupting the performance, preventing you perhaps from hearing clearly. That is an occasion for exercising control made ready to your hand. Will grows amid disturbance, trouble, and temper. Will grows where difficulties flourish. Look for those places. They are your natural habitat for a long time to come. You are entering upon the good fight. It is a long fight. There is no end to it. But you will be astonished at your developing skill as a fighter. You will always ask for practice, and the conditions of business in this day and age are such that you will never for a minute be balked of your desire. There will always be trouble waiting for you to practice on just around the corner. Oceans of it. Instead of praying that you be not led into temptation, you should begin now to ask for it in the same vein as you ask for trouble. What better training can you offer your will than to say to it, "My boy, I'm going to take you today into a whirlpool of temptation that will blister you. I don't expect you to come off with much credit. You are a poor, feeble thing, and I shall not be too badly disappointed if you fall to pieces under this test. But don't fall down altogether. Leave me something at least that I can remember with some satisfaction later." Treating yourself this way as two distinct personalities, you will be astonished to note that the part of you which represents your will during the test which you have arranged for its undoing really does act as if moved by an intelligence other than your own, keeping up the sport of your humor, perhaps, but certainly giving you no reason to be ashamed of its swift appreciation of the conditions of a test. By no means should you expect that a man changes his nature in a day or a month. He does not. But you will notice in yourself all the symptoms of a radical change of nature from month to month, and to put this point beyond possibility of doubt, we suggest that you keep a daily journal of the results of these experiments and exercises, and make careful note therein of what befalls, avoiding reading back in this journal except that single entry which corresponds to the day of the month 30 days back. In this way, you would have every day an opportunity of sensing from the entry of a month earlier about how you stood in the matter of steady progress. Understand now that so far from fleeing from temptation or falling prone before it, you are looking for it for the purpose of proving that you have the will to withstand it. You may fall after all. Don't let that discourage you. You have taken the sting from defeat if you have made a point of addressing yourself in a tone of remonstrance as dictated above. And though you fail once, and again fail, you will not fail the third time. You will succeed in the end. No matter how severe your pet temptation may be, because you are grounded in the essentials of success here and now. Because you are doing this thing for a test of your power newly won, newly bought, and this new power will not fail you when you seriously put it to the test. This is only a game you are playing with yourself, but it is a very earnest game for you, and the stakes are the highest possible. The mastery of a man's own soul. If you have not realized it thus far, realize it now, that your will is you, a part of the soul of you, the immortal part of you that carries you through the ages that are to come, brightening with its ray or darkening with its shadow that divine mind of you which is your individuality through eternity. This is a phase of training of the will that we do not touch upon because it is out of place in a book devoted to the elemental steps of will training for success in business. But it is nonetheless a fact, though we do not speak of it. Returning to the practice of your exercise, take pains to perform daily at least one task that you hate doing. Choose at least one daily to make yourself do something you do not want to do. This is self-discipline. There is no other discipline that is worth its salt except this. Do the thing you do not want to do, because you thereby prove your own control of your wishes. Do it without any fuss or noise. Do it as a matter of routine duty. That is the way to build will. The only way. That is going ahead to some purpose. That is making speed. Let us have speed about this thing. There is no need to spend 5 years in accomplishing something that you can do in one. There is no reason why you should not produce results from our system of will training after 1 year of application that would seem to you today, looking forward that space of time as something highly to be desired. You should in 1 year change the plane of vibration for yourself from failure to success, and this is the way by which the change is effected. The fifth exercise in meditation are quotes by Emerson. I appeal from your customs. I must be myself. I cannot break myself any longer for you or you. If you can love me for what I am, we shall be the happier. If you cannot, I will still seek to deserve that you should. I will not hide my taste or aversions. I will so trust that what is deep is holy, that I will do strongly before the sun and the moon whatever inly rejoices me and the heart appoints. If you are noble, I will love you. If you are not, I will not hurt you and myself by hypocritical attentions. If you are true, but not in the same truth with me, cleave to your companions. I will seek my own. I do this not selfishly, but humbly and truly. It is alike your interest and mine, and all men's, however long we have dwelt in lies, to live in truth. Does this sound harsh today? You will soon love what is dedicated by your nature as well as mine, and if we follow the truth, it will bring us out safe at last. I have my own stern claims and perfect circle. It denies the name of duty to many offices that are called duties. But if I can discharge its debt, it enables me to dispense with the popular code. If anyone imagines that this law is lax, let him keep its commandment one day. and truly it demands something godlike in him who has cast off the common motives of humanity and has ventured to trust himself for a taskmaster. High be his heart, faithful his will, clear his sight, that he may in good earnest be doctrine, society, law to himself, that a simple purpose may be to him as strong as iron necessity is to others. If any man consider the present aspects of what is called by distinction society, he will see the need of these ethics. The sinew and heart of man seem to be drawn out, and we are become timorous, desponding whimperers. We are afraid of truth, afraid of fortune, afraid of death, and afraid of each other. Our age yields no great and perfect persons. We want men and women who shall renovate life and our social state, but we see that most natures are insolvent, cannot satisfy their own wants, have an ambition out of all proportion to their practical force, and do lean and beg day and night continually. Our housekeeping is mendicant, our arts, our occupations, our marriages, our religion, we have not chosen, but society has chosen for us. We are parlor soldiers. We shun the rugged battle of fate, where strength is born. If our young men miscarry in their first enterprises, they lose all heart. If the young merchant fails men, say he is ruined. A sturdy lad from New Hampshire or Vermont, who in turn ties all the professions, who teams it, farms, peddles, keeps a school, preaches, edits a newspaper, goes to Congress, buys a township, and so forth, in successive years, and always like a cat falls on his feet, is worth 100 of these city dolls. He walks abreast with his days and feels no shame in not studying a profession, for he does not postpone his life, but lives already. He has not one chance, but 100 chances. Let a Stoic open the resources of a man and tell men they're not leaning willows, but can and must detach themselves, that with the exercise of self-trust, new powers shall appear, that a man is the Word made flesh, born to shed healing to the nations, that he should be ashamed of our compassion, and that the moment he acts from himself, tossing the laws, the books, idolatries, and customs out of the window, we pity him no more, but thank and revere him. And that teacher shall restore the life of man to splendor and make his name dear to all history. Prayer that craves a particular commodity, anything less than all good, is vicious. Prayer is the contemplation of the facts of life from the highest point of view. It is the soliloquy of a beholding and jubilant soul. It is the Spirit of God pronouncing His works good. But prayer as a means to effect a private end is meanness and theft. As soon as the man is at one with God, he will not beg. He will then see prayer in all action. The prayer of the farmer kneeling in his field to weed it, the prayer of the rower kneeling with the stroke of his oar, are true prayers. Chapter 6. Self-Discipline. Notice that this system of will training is the reverse of the system of popular education in practice throughout the world. The scholar is required to submit himself to certain wise rules inhibiting his freedom of choice. He is told that he must read, mark, learn, and inwardly digest certain books for his future advantage. He is told that if he works with diligence at his task, he will be rewarded by prizes now and by success in his life's calling later. He is told that if he does not work while in school, he will be punished for laziness, and that his lack of application to his studies will cause grief to his parents. Education is therefore a system of rewards and punishments. It is a system of disciplines enforced, but it seems to us that it lacks the essential thing in all education, which is capable of developing the best in the scholar, namely the implanting of the desire of self-discipline. Clearly, unless the scholar has wit enough to understand that discipline is valuable only if it becomes self-discipline by the scholar's choice, he will miss the point and worth of education altogether. The argument of the schools in this matter is that by submitting to discipline, the scholar is taught to control himself. But many scholars miss this point entirely and dislike school and educational methods generally because they dislike discipline. They hate compulsion and authority. We suggest that a method or system that works well for adults will work equally well, if not better, for the young, and we therefore express the hope that we shall someday find our schools and colleges alive to the fact that the training of the will by self-discipline is the foundation of character, and that such training constitutes the most vitally important instruction which can be offered to the young, since it deals with the very stuff of which character is formed. We should therefore abolish alike the system of rewards and the system of punishments from our schools, substituting in their place the system of free choice. The aim would be to interest the scholar in his or her personal development of character by such rules and practice as have been already made clear in these previous chapters. The scholar should early lay to heart the lesson that his reward is his own self-improvement carried forward of his own choice. The prize for him is the prize of life, the best that life has to offer. The prize is success. Failure on his part to pursue his studies along the lines laid down does not mean punishment by authority, but punishment of himself by himself. His punishment is lack of success. In the long run, it is evident that this is indeed the enduring punishment that falls upon the idle scholar, and much would be gained if this fact were made clear at the start of the race instead of its close. The scholar should be taught that the building of his will and character is the vital part of his education, that this work can be done by himself alone, that he cannot get it from books, that he cannot get it from precept and example, that its acquirement is due to his own choice, his own effort, his own self-discipline. Such teaching as this would bear immediate fruit in the development of self-reliance in the scholar. He would lean not upon others, but upon himself. He would seek his reward not in the prize, medal, or diploma at the end of the term, but in the improvement of himself physically and mentally for the battle of life upon which he will shortly enter. Such improvement will constitute his best equipment for the struggle. Sending a college-trained boy into the world today to make a success of his life is about as sensible as sending an army into the field without ammunition. The value of education is to fit the youth to do his best. Modern education is of little help to him. All healthy things are happy. Emerson says that all healthy things are sweet-tempered. It is very important that you should never forget this. The strong-willed man is quite often the careless man in this regard. He is not ill-tempered. He is well-poised, and well-poised people are secure against gusts of temper. But he does not give attention to the effect of his moods upon those with whom he comes in close contact in office or home. It will be very easy for you to watch yourself closely in this matter now that your attention has been called to the point. Each of us exerts influence upon others. Observe whether your influence upon those you meet is what it should be. If it is not, look for the fault in yourself. Rules of conduct in this system are few, easy to remember, and easy to follow. They are: be kind, be cheerful, and be still. One of your earliest duties in this work of self-improvement by discipline is to pass along to others some of the benefit you are receiving. The most effective way of doing this is by radiating goodwill silently. Thoughts are things, and your thoughts directed by your will have a dynamic force which reaches outside of yourself. Cultivate in yourself, therefore, the habit of kindly thought. It is said that nature abhors a vacuum. You should abhor in yourself a mind empty of good thought. Make of your mind a well-weeded garden, to use our former simile. You are doing just that thing, cultivating, ceaselessly cultivating. Learn to distinguish between the good and bad critic which belong to every active mind. The one is helpful to all right action on your part. The other hinders by disparagement. The latter is that base voice of the recesses of the mind which is responsible for the despairs of the soul. This is the voice that advises you to drop all effort at self-improvement because it is a silly business and makes you feel like a prig. It warns you that you will get nowhere. It counsels flight. It reminds you how right it was before when it prophesied the early death of certain of your former enthusiasms. It is a boding, depressing voice. Your friends, if they knew what you were attempting in this case, would tell you that this is the voice of reason. Not so, however. It is not reason that counsels you darkly. Reason is alert and active, ready for any effort. This voice is sluggish in its nature. It loves the old ways, the old rut of the mind. It hates to be disturbed and upset. Your business is to crush this voice out of the mind. You will have some trouble with it, but it has only such force or power as you allow it. You can strangle it effectively by encouraging the voice of the good critic to make itself clear to your consciousness. This will be another exercise of the governing will, this silencing of the evil counselor by filling the attention with positive, inspiring, healthy thoughts. A positive and a negative thought cannot occupy the same mind at the same time. You must get rid of the negative by using the positive. To assist you to achieve this radiantly positive condition of mind as your normal mental state, you should make frequent use of the following affirmations, repeating them daily and nightly until the habit is formed and they become a part of you. I am happiness. I am power. I am success. I am health. I am prosperity. I am strength of will. I am victorious energy. I am concentration. I am poise. I am goodwill to others. These affirmations, constantly repeated day by day, impress the subconscious mind with their force, and because the mind's organ, the brain, is built of cells, you are storing the brain cells by this means with right thought, or, if you please, with the right food for the mind. This right thought not only develops dynamic power of its own, but it also occupies the place previously held by wrong thought, ousting it and taking control. Sixth exercise in meditation will have excerpts by Aurelius. Thou canst pass thy life in an equable flow of happiness if thou canst go by the right way, and think and act in the right way. These two things are common both to the soul of God and to the soul of man, and to the soul of every rational being, not to be hindered by another, and to hold good to consist in the disposition to justice and the practice of it, and in this to let thy desire find its determination. That which does no harm to the state does no harm to the citizen. In the case of every appearance of harm, apply this rule. If the state is not harmed by this, neither am I harmed. But if the state is harmed, thou must not be angry with him who does harm to the state. Show him where his error is. Nothing happens to any man which he is not formed by nature to bear. The same things happen to another, and either because he does not see that they have happened, or because he would show a great spirit, He is firm and remains unharmed. It is a shame then that ignorance and conceit should be stronger than wisdom. In one respect, man is the nearest thing to me, so far as I must do good to men and endure them. But so far as some men make themselves obstacles to my proper acts, man becomes to me one of the things which are indifferent, no less than the sun or wind or a wild beast. Now it is true that these may impede my action, but they are no impediment to my effects and disposition, which have the power of acting conditionally and changing. For the mind converts and changes every hindrance to its activity into an aid, and so that which is a hindrance is made a furtherance to an act, and that which is an obstacle on the road helps us on this road. Reverence that which is best in the universe, and this is that which makes use of all things and directs all things. And in like manner also reverence that which is best in thyself, and this is the same kind as that. This next quote is from Epictetus here in the 6th meditation. Then you fear hunger as you suppose, but it is not hunger that you fear. You fear that you will have no cook, nor nobody else to buy victuals for you, nor another to take off your boots, nor another to put them on, nor others to rub you down, nor others to follow you about, so that when you have stripped yourself in the bath, and stretched yourself out as if you were crucified, you may be rubbed to and fro, and then the rubber standing by may say, "Turn him around, give me his side, take hold of his head, let me have his shoulder." And then, when you leave the bath and go home, you may shout, "Is no one bringing anything to eat?" And then, take away the plates and wipe them? This is what you fear, lest you be not able to live like a sick man. But learn how those live that are in health, slaves and laborers and true philosophers, how Socrates lived, who moreover had a wife and children, how Diogenes lived, how Cleanthes that studied in the schools and drew his own water. If you would have these things, they are everywhere to be had, and you will live boldly. Boldly in what? In that therein alone it is possible to be bold, in that which is faithful, which cannot be hindered, which cannot be taken away. But why hast thou made thyself so worthless and useless that no one is willing to receive thee into his house or take care of thee? But if any utensil were thrown away, and it was sound and serviceable, everyone that found it would pick it up and think it a gain. But thee no man would pick up, nor count anything but damage. So thou canst not so much as serve the purpose of a watchdog or a cook? Why then wilt thou still live, being such a man as thou art? Chapter 7. The Magnetic Man or Woman. We all know people, both men and women, who seem to get what they want from life, without any particular effort on their part. The common phrase is that they are lucky. There is, of course, no luck in the matter at all. When we examine the facts to find the cause of the success of these people, we find a marked similarity in all the cases of the kind of which we have accurate knowledge, a similarity of manner, a similarity of behavior, a similarity of disposition. The distinguishing trait of these fortunate ones is an equability of temperament, sometimes inborn, sometimes acquired by training. They have poise. They do not fret, worry, or hurry. What they do, and they do much, is done easily, tranquilly. The world goes well with them. They are popular, we like them, we like to talk with them and to be with them. They may vary greatly in their stations of life, but whether they belong to the higher, lower, or middle strata of society, they attract us and we find them interesting. The foundation of the personal magnetism of which these people are possessed consists of a firmness of will, which shows forth in a calm self-confidence that is not assertive. The note struck is self-reliance. They throw out without effort an atmosphere of kindliness and dependableness. They inspire us with trust in them. Children and dogs run to them instinctively without fear. Businessmen cultivate their acquaintance. They impress others by their appearance, but especially by their speech. The principle of attractiveness which they possess in abundance is the principle of strong will, manifesting itself outwardly. Disabuse yourself of the idea, if you entertain it, as many do, that a strong-willed person is therefore arbitrary, dictatorial, or assertive. These are the familiar traits of the obstinate man, who is usually the combative man. The magnetic man or woman is always persuasive. They convince, but not by argument. The loud debate is not for them. Think for a moment of Benjamin Franklin, one of our most magnetic men. Never was there a less assertive man than he, never a less dogmatic man. Yet no man won such instant recognition of his merit from all classes and nations as he, and the court of France confessed the charm of his presence as readily as the printer apprentices of his native Philadelphia. His sincerity and charm won him as high place in the hearts of foreign diplomatists as his wisdom won for him in the scientific world of that day. Truly a man of not unusual gifts, which had been trained with care to a state of highest efficiency. It is not uninteresting to remember that in his autobiography he gives in detail a method of self-examination he made daily use of, which is not unlike the method memory training given you in this system. Franklin was preeminently a man of strong will, developed by self-training, faithfully keeping record of his own advancement and slippings from the path he had set himself to climb. If you have any lingering doubts in your mind as to the advantage to you of the day's doings, a study of Franklin's plan of living will remove them. The plan he laid out for himself was more elaborate and intricate in detail than the plan of this system, but the scheme of each is as similar as the purpose. Recalling what Franklin's method did for Franklin's character, you should go forward with renewed confidence and a firmer resolution to get all the benefits offered by faithful carrying through of these few and simple exercises. The system is simple, but the results are not simple. The magnetic man is the successful man. Personal magnetism is the attractive force of the trained will. Franklin was magnetic, strong-willed, and trained by self-discipline. Put two and two together in this case, and you will see that the general law already twice referred to is also in operation here. Assuming that magnetism is a fluid force not unlike electricity in some of its properties, it should be necessary to guard against waste or leakage of this force. It is necessary. Every magnetic woman knows that she gives out force to far too many people every day. Every magnetic man is conscious of the same drain upon his reserve or current, and until they have learned how to protect themselves against too heavy drafts upon their magnetic reserves, they feel the strain of meeting too many people in one day. The rule of self-protection in this case is easily grasped, but it does not concern you at this time to know it because you will not be called upon to use it before your first year's practice of these exercises has ended. By that time, you will have abundant magnetism, which will stand in need of protection. When that time arrives, you will be told what to do. At present, the important thing is to show you what you must avoid doing even while your first year's training in self-discipline is proceeding. We call it stopping the leaks. Avoid jerky, sudden movements, fidgeting feet or hands, for the same reason that you avoid jerky, disconnected thoughts, because they are evidence of lack of control. Avoid attempts to influence others until your own thoughts have been brought safely under the control of your own will. The golden rule in this case being that before you are fit to govern others, you must have learned to govern yourself. Avoid the very human weakness of talking about these things, especially about your advance in willpower, to either friends or acquaintances, if your conversation is intended to draw from them any praise. Keep the rule of silence on these matters, except in the case of others who are taking up this work as you are taking it up. In such case, discussion is good for all. Keep faith with yourself in things of least moment. Better break your word to others than to yourself. A promise made to yourself is sacred for exactly the reason that no penalty attaches to its breaking. Anger, worry, and fear are 3 leaks. Avoid them. You have been told how. There is no room for any of these weakening emotions in the mind that is filled with active, positive thought. The affirmations previously given are warranted to stop all leaks if you will use them as often and as positively as they are needed. Look for the bright side of every unpleasant happening. There's always more than one way of regarding a circumstance. Find that view of the matter which is best for your mind to hold. Have you just missed your train? Waste no time in irritability, but seize the 50 minutes of leisure thus given you to practice one or more exercises, breathing, visualizing, affirming, as you please, remembering that the trained mind seeks and finds profit for itself in misery and discomfort. It was Epictetus, that wise old Stoic, who said that there were always 2 ways of taking hold of anything with the mind, a hard way and an easy way. Look for the way that brings the best thoughts with it. It was not always apparent. Your business is to find it. You know how. When found, use it to your advantage. You know how. Make it an ambition to say to yourself in the morning, "Today I resolve to watch my thoughts so constantly that I shall have nothing glaring in the way of failure to reproach myself with at the nightly review of the day's happenings." Try the record. It is worth taking pains about. It is the record. It is working, taking pains about. It is worthwhile. Absolutely, it is worthwhile. Pain and sickness are things you should be tender of when they happen to others. You need not be so tender of them when they befall you. Never affirm a negative. Do not deny that you have a toothache. If you have one, but see a dentist. Avoid the foolishness of denying the existence and reality of pain. While you are spirit clothed in flesh, that is to say, while you are a human being, you are bound by the laws of flesh or matter, and if your tooth or head aches, there is a material reason for it. We now move on to the 7th exercise in meditation, quotes by Emerson. Discontent is the want of self-reliance. It is infirmity of will. Regrets, calamities, if you can thereby help the sufferer. If not, attend to your own work, and already the evil begins to be repaired. Our sympathy is just as base. We come to them who weep foolishly and sit down and cry for company, instead of imparting to them truth and health in rough electric shocks, putting them once more in communication with their own reason. The secret of fortune is joy in our hands. Welcome evermore to God's and men is the self-helping man. For him all doors are flung wide. Him all tongues greet, all honors crown, all eyes follow with desire. Our love goes out to him and embraces him because he did not need it. We solicitously and apologetically caress and celebrate him because he held on his way and scorned our disapprobation. Insist on yourself. Never imitate. That which each can do best, none but his Maker can teach him. No man yet knows what it is, nor can till that person has exhibited it. Where is the master who could have taught Shakespeare? Where is the master who could have instructed Franklin or Washington or Bacon or Newton? Every great man is a unique. Abide in the simple and noble regions of thy life. Obey thy heart, and thou shalt reproduce the foreworld again. All men plume themselves on the improvement of society, and no man improves. Society never advances. It recedes as fast on one side as it gains on the other. It undergoes continual changes. It is barbarous, it is civilized, it is Christianized, it is rich, it is scientific. But this change is not amelioration. For everything that is given, something is taken. Society acquires new arts and loses old instincts. The civilized man has built a coach, but has lost the use of his feet. He is supported on crutches, but lacks so much support of muscle. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Nothing can bring you peace but the triumph of principles. He who knows that power is inborn, that he is weak because he has looked for good out of him and elsewhere, and so perceiving throws himself unhesitatingly on his thought, instantly rights himself, stands in the erect position, commands his limbs, works miracles. Just as a man who stands on his feet is stronger than a man who stands on his head. All things are moral. That soul which within us is a sentiment, outside of us is a law. Proverbs, like the sacred books of each nation, are the sanctuary of the intuitions. That which the droning world, chained to appearances, will not allow the realist to say in his own words, it will suffer him to say in Proverbs without contradiction. And this law of laws, which the pulpit, the senate, and the college deny, is hourly preached in all markets and workshops by flights of proverbs, whose teaching is as true and as omnipresent as that of the birds and flies. All infractions of love and equity in our social relations are speedily punished. They are punished by fear. Whilst I stand in simple relations to my fellow man, I have no displeasure in meeting him. We meet as water meets water, or as two currents of air mix, with perfect diffusion and interpenetration of nature. But as soon as there is any departure from simplicity and attempt at halfness, or good for me that is not good for him, my neighbor feels the wrong. He shrinks from me as far as I have shrunk from him. His eyes no longer seek mine. There is war between us. There is hate in him and fear in me. You must pay at last your own debt. Benefit is the end of nature, but for every benefit which you receive, a tax is levied. He is great who confers the most benefits. He is base, and that is the one base thing in the universe, to receive favors and render none. Commit a crime, and the earth is made of glass. Every man in his lifetime needs to thank his faults. Like the wounded oyster, he mends his shell with pearl. Chapter 8. Dynamic Thinking. 40 years ago, Prentice Mulford, first of New Thought writers, made use of the telling phrase, "Thoughts are things." It is perhaps being a little overworked. It may have prompted that fine old naturalist, John Burroughs to write his famous poem, of which the refrain runs, "Serene I fold my hands and wait, for lo, my own shall come to me." There is nothing the matter with this philosophy except that it is not true. Outside of that, there is nothing the matter. As a poem, it is a thing of beauty. Never permit yourself to shirk facts. 100 millions of Hindus have folded their hands and waited for nigh 100 years, while a handful of Englishmen who knew the meaning of action took charge of their affairs for them and administered their country to the advantage of England. Twice this number of Chinese have folded their hands and waited while the centuries passed, offering fat pickings of territory and harborage to any pilfering pirate among the nations who might cast an eye that way. Because of this practical application of Mr. Burroughs' philosophy, China is today calling upon strong, peaceful nations such as the United States for help to rid herself of the robbers who have despoiled her. She is big enough and strong enough and old enough to help herself. Let her think straight and back her thought with action, and she will lift herself out of that mire. Thoughts are things indeed, in the sense that as a man thinketh, so is he, but they do not take the place of doing. They lay the foundation for right doing. They do not excuse you for sitting still and waiting for something to happen. Things do not happen for your waiting. They happen for your compulsion. Events wait upon your will. Your will is action or thought in action. Thoughts are things also in this sense that whatever is happening to you now, whatever condition surrounds you, are the result of your own thinking. If you think failure, if you think sorrow, if you think sickness, you attract to yourself conditions of failure, conditions of sorrow, conditions of sickness. To the contrary, if you think happiness, if you think joy, if you think success, you attract these conditions to you and put yourself mentally on their plane. Like is attracted to like. If you are not satisfied with the trend of your life today, if you would change it, it is in your power to change it. The change depends upon your changing your thought. Think success and it will come to you. Not because your thought has drawn it to you from the ends of the earth while you sat with folded hands waiting for its arrival, but because your change of thought from a depressing consciousness of failure to a strongly positive demand for better living conditions is a draft on the bank of the source of supply that is worth its face value. It is a side draft, payable on demand, because and only because your change of thought has made you a different person from what you were. It has put snap into you that was not there before. It has made you think to a purpose as you never thought before. It has opened ways to you to which your eyes were shut before. It has lifted you out of inaction and despondency by lifting you out of your chair and stirring you into action. It has caused you to impress people as you never impressed them before. It has, in a word, made you help yourself and has shown you how to help yourself. In this sense, thoughts are things. Remember that your right thought attitude must be a reflection of your right physical attitude, calm-eyed, firm-mouthed, self-reliant, confident. Practicing this thought tone constantly will very swiftly lift your thought vibrations to the plane of success, and things will then begin to happen. See that you are ready for them when they begin to happen. Arnold Bennett counsels regular reading of Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius to all those who are beginning the study of self-improvement by training the mind to obey the orders of the will. But Epictetus is not Emerson. Above and beyond all teachers, Emerson is the guide. Exactly suited to your needs also is a good book on yogi methods of breathing. There's always one best book on any subject. The best book on breathing is The Hindu Yogi Science of Breath by Ramacharaka. This is certainly the best thing of its kind in print and will be a great help to you. Also, you will need clear, positive examples of success achieved by right thinking and right doing. The writer served 2 years and 1 month in the United States Army during the disturbance with Germany, and he voices the dumb gratitude of a million hearts in saying a word of tribute to the Salvation Army. Apart from their service in the field entirely, forgetting the donuts and the coffee, he would ask you to think of what this organization has done for the derelict and the castaway in the slums of the great cities. What genius among them was it who first struck out the phrase, "A man may be down, but he's never out"? This is a wonder phrase. In how many thousands of despondent men and women, think you, have these fine, strong words waked again the glow of that self-respect which they never thought to know again? If you are one of the world's failures, this message is as vital to you as to any waif of the streets, and you will get only a great good from repeating it to yourself. It is an affirmation in itself, and complete in itself. It carries in itself the message of new thought to the world of failures. There are no failures, except such are too broken by the conflict to lift up their heads. A man may be down, but he's never out. It should be carved in marble, graven on bronze, embroidered by gay letters of silk on our proudest banners. It should never be forgotten of men while the world endures. When a hive of bees is sure that there is danger to the future of the hive by dying out of queen larvae, it meets the difficulty by turning work larvae into queen larvae, by feeding a select few a special food which apiaries call the royal jelly. There is no need of a special creation or introduction of super creations. The bees convert the barren sister into the great queen by a simple process of superior nourishment. So when a man or woman, dissatisfied with conditions or attainments, eager to advance, desirous of improvement, seeking for health, happiness, and prosperity to make these good things their own, and have a share of them in their own lives, search out the way to this change, they are not a little astonished to find that the miracle is wrought by the simple process of feeding them the royal jelly of right thought. No special creation of a Superman is needed. We carry in ourselves, hidden usually from ourselves, the essential powers that lift us from the depths. If you do not like yourself, change yourself. You have the power. The 8th exercise in meditation will have quotes by Emerson. Love, and you shall be loved. Our strength grows out of our weakness. Blame is safer than praise. I hate to be defended in a newspaper. As long as all that is said against me, I feel a certain assurance of success. But as soon as honey-eyed words of praise are spoken for me, I feel as one that lies unprotected before his enemies. In general, every evil to which we do not succumb is a benefactor. As the Sandwich Islander believes that the strength and valor of the enemy he kills passes into himself, so we gain the strength of the temptations we resist. Men suffer all their life long under the foolish superstition that they can be cheated, but it is as impossible for a man to be cheated by anyone but himself as for a thing to be and not to be at the same time. There's a third silent party to all our bargains. The nature and soul of things takes on itself the guarantee of the fulfillment of every contract so that honest service cannot come to loss. If you serve an ungrateful master, serve him the more. Put God in your debt. Every stroke shall be repaid. The longer the payment is withholden, the better for you, for compound interest on compound interest is the rate and usage of this exchequer. There is no tax on the good of virtue, for that is the incoming of God himself, or absolute existence, without any comparative. Material good has its tax, and if it come without desert or sweat, has no root in me, and the next wind will blow it away. But all the good of nature is the soul's, and may be had if paid for in nature's lawful coin, that is, by labor which the heart and head allow. I no longer wish to meet a good I do not earn. No man ever stated his griefs as lightly as he might, allow for exaggeration in the most patient and sorely ridden pack that ever was driven. For it is only the finite that has wrought and suffered. The infinite lies stretched in smiling repose. People represent virtue as a struggle and take to themselves great airs upon their attainment. We love characters in proportion as they are impulsive and spontaneous. The less a man thinks or knows about his virtues, the better we like him. Belief and love. A believing love will relieve us of a vast load of care. There is a soul at the center of nature and over the will of every man, so that none of us can wrong the universe. It has so infused its strong enchantment into nature that we prosper when we accept its advice, and we struggle to wound its creatures. Our hands are glued to our sides, or they beat our own breasts. The whole course of things goes to teach us faith. We need only obey. There is guidance for each of us, and by lowly listening, we shall hear the right word. For you there is a reality, a fit place and congenial duties. Place yourself in the middle of the stream of power and wisdom which animates all whom it floats, and you are without effort impelled to truth, to right, and a perfect contentment. Then you put all gainsayers in the wrong. Then you are the world, the measure of right, truth, and beauty. If we would not be marplots with our miserable interferences, the work, the society, letters, arts, science, religion of men would go on far better than now. And the heaven predicted from the beginning of the world, and still predicted from the bottom of the heart, would organize itself as do now the rose and the air and the sun. Chapter 9. The Law of Financial Success. Once more, it is necessary to offer you a sort of apology for the simplicity of this matter. We told you, however, at the beginning, that the general law which underlay the building of will underlay also the acquiring of personal magnetism and the achieving of success. You can hardly blame us for making your labors easy for you. We might, and without difficulty could pad out this book to 7 times its bulk in elucidating these matters, but surely that would be gain to neither. Recall the approach of the little maid offered to Naaman the Syrian, after he turned and went away in a rage. "My father," said she, "if the prophet had required some hard thing of thee, wouldst thou not have done it? How much more when he saith unto thee, Wash and be clean?" Well for Naaman that he heeded this friendly pleading voice. We repeat, the process of this system is simplicity itself, but the results are by no means simple. The law of financial success, despite its high-sounding title, is exactly the same thing as the method of will building, which you have had clearly set before you. How could it be possibly anything else? Put yourself in the right attitude of mind to make yourself a success, which, as you know now, is done right by thinking, And it follows logically that you make yourself wealthy if wealth is what you want. Nothing else could follow but this. Reverting again to our former example of the multimillionaire type, John D. Rockefeller, you will find in his autobiography that he was ever of a saving disposition. Not for John D. the transient satisfaction of blowing his money with other good fellows and free spenders of his own age. He really acquired the habit of spending less than he earned. And this alone, if you have ever practiced it, is a training of the will. It is a good, sound habit. Franklin practiced it. Every man who has ever made any money at all and held on to it after making it has always been able to save. It is not quite as simple a thing as it sounds. It requires the power to deny yourself not only the pleasure of purchasing something you would like to have, but the power to deny yourself the pleasure of assisting others. And this is often the more difficult refusal of the two. Any man who, earning $2,000 a year, has saved 1/4 of this sum yearly and put it safely away in a savings bank knows far better than we can tell him how sharply he has been beset from time to time by desire to aid this one or that one to the extent of making a draft upon his nest egg in the bank. We will say, after a ripe experience, that it takes more savage grit to save money than to make it. It takes more hard willpower to deny than to give. No training in the world is more valuable to you than this simple thing, that you train yourself to deny yourself the spending of as much as you earn. Make a beginning at once. Set about it today. There is in many men, however, a joy in the sport of making money which is accompanied by a scorn of money itself, as something of little worth in comparison with the pleasure of giving it away. This is not a sordid ostentation of generosity, but a very real indifference to dollars and cents. It is an unsound feeling because it overlooks the fact that it requires strong will to deny yourself the pleasure of yielding to the impulse to give. It is a thoughtless impulse. Wisely directed thought, governing this impulse, would refuse it. Your business is to act in accordance with wisely directed thought, and to shun action begotten of impulse. Therefore, save your money. We have a deep distrust of those systems of mental and physical training which pile exercise on exercise until both mind and body revolt from the task ahead. The essence of success in this business of will training is that the student weary not in the doing. If you lose interest in the job, you fail of results because you do not put conviction into your affirmations, and you do not give the sharp attention necessary to direct the thought in breathing, thinking, and visualizing. You pass by certain exercises as too much bother, and thereby permit a break in your planned routine. This is not fatal, of course, because the practices may be interrupted for weeks at a time and renewed later with nothing but benefit, but there should not be any breaks at all in the routine. It is a weakness to permit them. When you have once begun this work, we do not expect you ever to lose interest in it. The result alone, we think, will hold you steadfast to the job. The work that is laid out here will keep you occupied for 1 year. You should give not less than 1 year's time to the exercises in their order, that you may have a solid foundation on which to build from year to year. There is nothing set before you here which should weary you physically or mentally. If this system dealt with a laborious training of the mind by the memorizing of rules, precepts, and examples, it would not be surprising if you shirked the burden at times and even grew to hate the whole thing. But here you have no strain or fatigue to contend against, and we feel that your interest will not flag. We're only human, all of us, and there will be days when you will be less keen than at other times. You will have your periods of boredom, possibly, but on this point we can offer you the comforting assurance that such periods of distaste will grow less and less frequent as you proceed. We count upon the results to feed your interest continuously, sufficiently at least to prevent you from skipping the work altogether for a day here and a week there. There should be no skips. Inasmuch as our system is devised to hold you to your word to yourself and make your will of some account, You might feel justified if you fulfill the task to the letter, but passed up the spirit. That will not do it all. There must be none of the martyr. There must be no self-pity about this work. What has control of moods to do with any such weakness as feeling ill-used because you are keeping a promise made to yourself? Let us have a cheerful face at all times and a willing enthusiasm with nothing grudging about it. This cheerfulness and unfailing good temper is, you will recollect, one of the special features of the training. Keep before you the fact that you are engaged in the work of improving the running of a very important machine, the most delicate and finely adjusted in the world, as Arnold Bennett has said, that this machine belongs to you, and that its smooth running and general efficiency is quite the most important work you have ever undertaken. Understand that you only can handle this machine, and that a system which teaches you to get the best service from it is worth some time and some effort, some attention, and some loyal performance, particularly as your comfort, your happiness, your health, and your success are bound up in the machine, and are dependent upon your knowledge of how to make it work for you at its best under all conditions. The knowledge is here for your using, in such form that you can at once apply it, with assurance that nothing but benefit to yourself and your fortunes can result from the work. And this concludes the reading of the book titled Willpower, Personal Magnetism, Memory Training, and Success by Sydney B. Flower. If you haven't done so, please do hit the like button. If you know of anyone that could benefit from these words, please share it with them. And yes, subscribe to the channel.